Deinstitutionalization began in the 1960s to remove people with psychiatric disorders from state-run psychiatric asylums, where patients were often abused, forced to live in horrid conditions, and subjected to inhumane treatments, such as forced medication and unnecessary lobotomies. The idea of the movement was to remove people from these harmful environments and treat them in outpatient settings instead, so that people with psychiatric disorders could maintain autonomous lives. However, the movement was not planned well, and many former patients had nowhere to go, becoming homeless or ending up incarcerated instead. This problem has persisted since the start of deinstitutionalization. While the goal of deinstitutionalization was a noble one, its poor implementation harmed more people than it helped. Instead of abruptly closing psychiatric hospitals, the government should have implemented a mass reform of the hospitals, including new standards for inpatient care, regulations and authorization of all treatments, and stricter evaluations to decide when a person requires inpatient care to prevent hospitals from admitting patients who would benefit more from outpatient care.
Hi, my name is Mary, and I have a mental illness. The year is 1984. 1 year ago, my boss found out about my mental illness, and I was promptly fired for being a danger in the workplace at the age of 24. A few months later, I ran out of money and was evicted from my apartment. I don't have any family in the area who can support me. I tried to go to the hospital to treat my mental disorder and hopefully get back on my feet. But I was told that the hospital was full and that I could add my name to a wait list. I have now been homeless for 8 months, and I can't wait any longer for treatment. Hi, my name is Marissa, and I have a psychiatric disorder. It's 2016. 3 years ago, I had an episode of psychosis where I believed my family was trying to hurt me. They called the police, and I was thrown in jail. Even though I was released shortly afterwards, there's still an arrest on my record, and it's still hard to find a good job. Today, I see a psychiatrist and I take medication, but since all I can find is part-time jobs, my mom has to help pay for my treatment. Um, in addition to not being able to find a good job, it's also extremely hard to find housing. If it wasn't for my mom, I don't know where I'd be living right now. I always wonder, how life would have been different if I'd been taken to a psychiatric hospital instead of jail.
In 1963, the Community Mental Health Construction Act was established to provide federal grants to communities in order to establish local community mental health centers where people who were released from state psychiatric hospitals could go to see psychologists, psychiatrists, and receive treatment. However, this act failed because there was not enough money put into the grants to actually create these mental health centers. As a result, many people who had been living in the state psychiatric hospitals had nowhere to go, no home to go back to, and they didn't have any sort of resources or support, such as these mental health centers where they could get treatment. As a result, many people ended up homeless or unfortunately ended up in jails. If this project had received the funding it needed to succeed, there wouldn't be as big of a problem of homelessness and incarceration for people with mental disorders. Instead, we would have seen much higher rates of people with mental disorders getting the help that they needed.
When I was in high school, I had a friend who was very depressed. One night, her parents were really worried about her safety and called a psychiatrist who immediately admitted her into a hospital. She was able to stay there until she was no longer in danger. And when she was released, she was able to go to therapy on a regular basis. She speaks fondly of the people who worked in the hospital. They treated her very well, and it's very comforting to know that she has a place to go if she's ever in serious trouble ever again.
While these character bios are fictional, for many people, stories like these are a reality. What can we do to solve the problem of lack of spaces in psychiatric hospitals or wards so that more people in need of immediate intensive care can get the help that they need? The answer is action. Lobby your local elected officials to let them know that this is an issue you care about. There's a link with directions to find your state officials below in the description. You can also volunteer in local mental health care organizations. NAMI, which is the National Alliance for Mental Health, works to help people with mental illnesses get out of jail and stay out of jail by providing resources and support so that in a mental health crisis, people with mental disorders will end up in a hospital with the support and treatments that they need instead of having interactions with the police, which is unfortunately something that happens more often than we'd like to think. By joining a NAMI walk, you can help to raise money for causes such as these. Or if you're really interested, you could do what I'm doing. Go to college, major in psychology, then go on to medical school, become a psychiatrist, and eventually open up your own hospital. After all, if other people won't solve the problem, why not do it yourself? I hope this video has given you a glimpse into the problems with deinstitutionalization. For more information, check out the description of this video. Thank you for watching.